Okay, you need to install a new air conditioner in your house. To determine what size you need, the company asks you the size of your house. What units of measure should you use when stating the size of your house? Square feet. Okay, anytime you are measuring any kind of building or any kind of structure like that, a house, a classroom, anything like that, you're going to state the measurements in square feet. Okay, now let's turn to page 14 in your packet. Today we're going to be talking about literal equations. Okay, we're going to solve the equation for a specific variable, and they tell you which variable to solve for. Like, look at number 1. 7t equals x. Over here, this means solve for t. Well, to solve for t means to get t by itself, so what needs to go away from it? And since it's being multiplied by 7, yes, you divide by 7. Whatever you do to one side, you go across the equal sign and do it again. Now on the left, 7 divided by 7 is 1, and you can just cross it out because we don't have to write a 1 beside the t. It's understood. On the right side, it's just x over 7, and then that is your final answer. No, there's no... Yeah, but it would still be 1x over 7. The x isn't just going to disappear. That's why these are called literal equations, because we're not always going to be able to simplify. Okay, number 3. Q minus R equals R, and they want you to solve it for R. Well, we're trying to get R by itself, but our first problem is you have an R on this side and an R on this side, so what should we do? Add the R to combine them to the same side. So if I add it on the left, negative 1R plus 1R cancels out. Then I go across the equal sign and I also add it on the right, making the right side become 2R. And then the left side is just Q now. But unfortunately, we're not solving for Q. We would be done if we were supposed to solve for Q. We're supposed to solve for R. How do we now get the R by itself? Divide it by 2. And so now look, 2 divided by 2 is 1. Cross it out because you don't have to write it. And we have R by itself, and on the opposite side we have Q over 2. Now, before I rewrote it, wasn't it Q over 2 equals R? And now I rewrote it as R equals Q over 2. There's a property that says I can do that. It's called the symmetric property. It tells me that I can just flip-flop the sides like that if I want. Okay, and I prefer to say what I'm solving for first, so that's why I flip-flopped and put R on the left and Q over 2 on the right. The symmetric property allows me to do that. Okay, number 5. 7a minus b equals 15a. We're trying to solve for a, so what do you think we need to take care of first? Right, we need the a's to be on the same side before we can get a by itself. So I'm going to subtract 7a on the left, and when I subtract it on the left, it cancels out, leaving just the negative b. When I subtract it on the right side of the equation, I now have 8a, because 15a minus 7a is 8a. But remember, I'm still trying to solve for a. So now what do I do? Divide by 8, divide by 8. Those cancel because anything divided by itself is 1. So now I just have 1a, which can be rewritten as just a. And on the other side, I have negative b over 8. And now a is by itself, so that is the correct answer. Okay, any questions so far? All right, let's try number 7 then. Number 7, x minus 2y equals 1. And this time we're trying to solve for what letter? Yes, y. Okay, so what do we need to move first to the other side? Well, the x first, okay? You always move what's furthest away from the letter you're trying to solve. Like before we try to do the 2, we're going to move the other stuff first. So subtract x, because it's a positive x, and it'll cancel. Then you subtract x on this side. Now on the left, we still have that negative 2y to bring down. On the right, can you actually subtract x from the 1? No, so you just bring it down, 1 minus x. Now to solve for the y, what do we do? Okay, look, we're trying to solve for y, right? And y is being multiplied by negative 2, right? So to undo that operation, you divide by negative 2. Okay, the negative 2 over negative 2 is positive 1, which doesn't have to be rewritten by the y. So technically, isn't that the final answer? Y equals 1 minus x over negative 2? Or you may see them do this on the answer choice. Hold on one second. You may also see it written like this. Y equals 1 over negative 2 is just a negative 1/2. Okay, because we know 1 over 2 is 1/2. And since there's only one negative between the two numbers, it stays negative. Okay, because positive over negative is negative. Negative over negative becomes a positive x over 2. Okay, you may see them write it like that, where they simplify the signs and write it as two separate fractions. All right, number 9. 7f plus g equals 5, and they want you to solve it for f. So to get f all by itself, what do we move to the opposite side of the equation first? How do we move it? Right, we subtract g. On this side it cancels out because g minus g is 0. And then we subtract it on this side, but can you actually subtract g from 5? No, so when we rewrite the whole thing, you're just going to write 5 minus g. You can't actually combine them. Now to solve for f, what do we do? So f equals 5 minus g over 7. That's the final answer. Or f equals 5 over 7. And then there's one negative, so minus g over 7. So it stays negative if only one of the numbers is negative. Well, I don't make the test. It's already created. I know, I'm talking about the unit test. I don't make those either. No, they're... Number 11, RT minus 2n equals y, and we're going to solve it for for t. What do I do first? Right, I want to move that entire term away from the t. I'm not trying to separate the 2 from the n. I'm trying to move the entire thing away from t. So I add all of it to the other side. So add 2n to both sides. On this side it cancels, leaving the RT. And on the right side it becomes y plus 2n. Now to solve for t, what do I have to do? Divide it by r on both sides. So t equals y plus 2n over r, or t equals y over r plus 2n over r. That's not hard. All you're doing is rewriting it, but putting the r under each part individually. Yes. That way, if one of them can be simplified, you can do so. All right, number 13. Kn plus 4f equals 9v, and we're trying to solve it for the n. So to get n by itself, what moves to the other side first? Right, this entire term, it's a positive 4f, so we subtract it to the other side. Okay, on this side it cancels, leaving the kn, and it's a v. 9v minus 4f. Now what do we do? Divide by the k on all of it. See how I went ahead and separated it right then? And so n equals 9v over k minus 4f over k. Okay, would anybody like to go to the board and work number 2? Okay, Naya, Leah, you can do another one. That's right. The first thing she did was she divided by w on both sides to cancel out the w and get it away from p, and then all that was left was r over w, so that is correct. Okay, Leah, do you want to try number 4? Okay. Is it right? Let's go over what she did, because this one was actually tough. Most people today who have gone up for this one didn't get it right. Okay, she subtracted the 4m and it canceled. When she subtracted it over here from the 1m, it became negative 3m. She was trying to get m by itself, so she then divided by negative 3 on both sides. And then she noticed in the final answer that the negative should disappear because the negative over negative is positive. So it's just m equals t over 3. Yes. Okay. First, she added this 5c to cancel out on that side. And when she added it over here, it became 7c. She's still trying to isolate the c, though, so she moves the 7 by dividing it. Those then cancel out, leaving c by itself and d over 7 on the other side. Okay, number 8. Who already called number 8? I guess he did. Number 8. Hold on, let me pause the video for over it. Okay, the first thing he did was move the d by subtracting it, and then it became 1 minus d because you can't actually combine them, okay? Then he divided by 3 to get it away from the n, and he ended up with 1 minus d over 3, and then he went ahead and separated it into n equals 1/3 minus d over 3, so that is correct. Okay, who did I already tell could do number 10? Marcus? I need to finish this one up for the video. Okay, so you could reverse it, but I would prefer not. So it would be b over a plus c over a. But yeah, it's okay if you did, but on the answer choice, this is probably what you would see. Okay, Naya's going to do number 12. Hello. She subtracted the 3g to cancel it on this side and then moved it to that side. You can't actually combine them, so she just brought it down. Then she divided by the b to cancel it out, and then here's her final answer, which she could have separated, but she didn't, but you could have. Okay, all you do, you mean like separate it? Well, look, okay, when I go to separate it, first write the 2k, and then write the 3g, and they both go over b. Both of these are positive, so that one stays positive. Over here we have a negative over a positive, which stays negative. They would become positive, kind of like 1 over here did. Okay, Zaire is going to do number 14. Here we go. The first thing she did was she subtracted the 6j. It canceled. Then she subtracted it on this side. You can't actually combine those, so she just brought it down. She then needs to separate the 8 and the c because she wants c by itself, so she divided by 8 on both sides. She then separates it into 2 separate fractions, and let me show you now why that's necessary. See now, since they're separated, this one will reduce because both 6 and 8 are divisible by what number? So this becomes 3j over 4. Number 15. The first thing you need to do to get x by itself is multiply by 2 on both sides. Okay, yeah, because we're trying to get that 2 out of the bottom. It's divided by 2, so you multiply by 2. X minus c now equals d times 2, which is 2d. Now to get x by itself, you're going to add the c to both sides, and it becomes x equals 2d plus c. All right, number 17. I didn't need to, because x is by itself now. Okay, so for this one, we're trying to solve for p. To get p by itself, the first thing I need to do is get rid of that 5 in the bottom, so I multiply by 5 on both sides. Those cancel out, leaving p plus 9 equals 5r. Now to solve for p, what do? Minus 9 on both sides, p equals 5r minus 9. All right, number 16. It's the same kind of problem. What do we do first? Multiply by 2 on both sides. Cancel, cancel. X minus c now equals 2d. Now to solve for c, this is a positive x already. You subtract x on both sides. And then, yeah, because it's a positive x. The c is the one that's negative. So now we have negative c equals 2D minus x. Have we now solved for C? No. There's a negative 1 beside it that we now need to divide by. Now, when you divide by negative 1, the only thing it does is what? Changes the signs. Like 2D over negative 1 is negative 2D. Negative x over negative 1 is positive x. As soon as you've completed 18 on your own, you may switch out. Jasmine, you may leave.